finally, after 3 long months, the Black Clover manga has returned. In my opinion, these are the best Black Clover chapters we've had so far within Jump Giga. And I think it might be the best Black Clover release since chapter 331 over 2 years ago. There's a lot to go over, as it's a pretty massive release, with 3 chapters totaling 61 pages of content, so let's get right into the Black Clover review. So, first, Tabata blesses us with another beautiful color page. I mean, look at this. I want this as a poster in my room right now. This is the fall issue of Jump Giga, so it makes sense that we're getting some falling leaves here, but Tabata is adding a nice little touch, and seemingly add some anti-magic or even dark magic eroding away at one of these leaves. Maybe, or just could be an eroded leaf, but I think it's just pretty objective that Tabata is a phenomenal artist, and if he ever gets another series or decides to do a sequel for Black Clover, I sure hope that is a monthly one so that he gets time to cook. But for the actual chapter, it kind of went how a lot of people predicted. It was the Powell and Morgan fight that we all expected, and it was the focus for all 3 of these chapters, because this was the first time that Black Clover has been in Jump Giga and gotten more than 2 chapters. Hopefully, this is the norm. But anyways, chapter 374 starts with Nacht using the anti-magic power given to him by Asta, and he holds off against a Lucius clone and Paladin Morgan by doing a triple devil union and then doing a monozone, trapping them inside. This allows for us to focus on Yami and Ichika's reunion. This is a sweet moment because Yami is dying at the time. He even thinks he's hallucinating when he sees his sister, but then he feels her ki, and that kind of snaps him out of it. And what can we say about Yami except for what a typical reaction from finding out that Asta is alive and the Black Bulls are back, and he calls them idiots, but then he says they do good job anyways. And this is where we get the confirmation that Yami did leave Ichika behind. Now, there was some confusion because we see Ichika here resting in a boat, so that means that he was going to take her with her, but the dialogue just kind of signifies that she was going to stay behind. She's probably just resting there from what happened. But anyways, yeah, Yami leaves while taking the blame of being the murderer of the Yami clan, even though it was Ichika. Luckily for Yami, Ryu had sent a package with Ichika, and it turned out to be one of the Demon Soul Pills. This is because of Ryu using his Tengensu. He's able to recognize that Yami can now actually utilize the pill properly. And the entire history of the Yami clan, nobody has been able to control the Demon Soul Pill. But now, Yami can. He takes the pill, and his physical strength and magical powers go crazy, and it boosts his natural recovery, allowing him to regenerate from his wounds. But before Yami can get back on his feet, Lucius comes down and tries to take on Yami's sister. But Yami continues to be the big brother figure that he's always been throughout the entire series and to the Black Bulls, and we get his devil form, or his Kijin or demon god form revealed. Now, the chapter is titled Demon God. Pretty much everybody's calling this Demon God or Kijin Yami. It's not an official name yet, but I guess you can go by the title of the chapter, where it's titled Demon God, and then we go back to the earlier chapters in the Land of the Sun, and they say that the leader or strongest of the Yami clan is the Demon God. It's pretty clear here this is Demon God Yami. He gets horns from this, but it's different from the other devil forms. He gets these black beads around his neck, which we'll talk about later. A lot of people are comparing Yami's form to the mythological tail of the Ox King or the traditional Japanese Oni. What gets pretty crazy is that this allows for Yami to pretty easily dispatch one of the Lucius clones, defeating it in one single blow. I was not expecting that. But anyways, Devil Yami is something that I've been advocating for and predicting for years now, and it just makes so much sense. It was revealed that he had a devil heart back in the Spade Saga. He's always had these weird ties to devils over the course of the series. And now, it seems like either because of his progression over the years, or his devil heart, or both, he can now master the power of the Kijin form. In chapter 375, we are shown the fight of Nacht versus Morgan and a Lucius clone. It leads to a pretty interesting statement that is made here. Nacht sees his brother, and he says the one who's controlling him is Lucifugus. But this doesn't really make sense. You would think that if Lucifugus was controlling Morgan, he'd be wanting to go against Lucius rather than work for him. Because remember, Lucius is against the devils. The only one working with him voluntarily is Adramalik, and that might not even be voluntarily. We just don't know. And based off what we were told earlier, that this was Lucius's mind control by tinkering with the soul. So it's just weird that Nacht says this. Is this a mistranslation, or is this just him guessing? Because it doesn't seem like Lucifugus should be in control. It should be that he's just using Lucifugus's powers that Lucius put inside of him. Because there are some weird things in this chapter. It is an official translation, but it seems like there's some discrepancies or errors here. But the interesting part of this chapter is Nacht versus Morgan. It's the best part, and that surprised me. It makes sense, sure. Nacht and Morgan are twins, they have that connection, but Yami has just been a much more established character. I thought he'd steal the show a lot more, but no, it was Nacht. So even though Nacht had borrowed anti-magic power from Asta, and he is doing a triple devil union, he is still struggling because he blames himself for his brother dying. So he cannot go out against him because he does not want to kill him a second time, because he believes he is the cause of Morgan's first death. And this would lead to a very controversial revelation that Morgan is stronger than Lucius. To clarify, it is a clone of Lucius, but it is stated twice. One by Lucius himself, and then another statement as well. And I actually have no issue with this. I actually have kind of predicted this ever since chapter 369 came out. Actually, I think even before that, this became a possibility, if not a probability, ever since we had Paladins and Lucius clones fighting alongside each other. Of course, there's going to be some interconnected power levels there. But this isn't bad. This doesn't ruin Lucius as a villain just because one of the Paladins is stronger than a clone. We have to remember, the real Lucius is sitting atop this budding kingdom, using the power of the purified tree of Qliphoth to increase his power. Because remember, the tree of Qliphoth absorbs the mana of the world, and that's what he's doing right now. This Lucius is going to be stronger than the Lucius clones because he's getting stronger by the second. Yeah, I'm not worried at all, nor do I care about the Lucius clones being weaker than Morgan. Kind of makes sense. But where this gets really interesting is when Nacht seems defeated and then Yami comes in to save him. Yami has to try and encourage him and trying to convince him, we cannot let Morgan kill people. He was good. He is the incarnate of good. It would not be a good thing to let him become a murderer. And he thinks it needs to be Nacht is the one to stop him. But despite Yami's encouragement, Nacht stays put and Yami is forced to fight by himself. And even when Yami pulled out one of his most powerful spells, Dimension Slash, Morgan just summons a swarm of dark magic that completely counters it. And then he activates his light magic in tandem with his dark magic, which has pretty much led to the most controversial statement of this chapter, and that is that these attacks are lightspeed. In my opinion, this is just an outlier. I'll go fully in depth as to why that's the case in my next Black Clover video, but to keep it short, for why this is kind of silly to argue that Morgan is the fastest character in the verse and he's only lightspeed, we literally see both Yami and Ichika move faster than Morgan's light magic. There is no way that Yami could intercept this if he wasn't faster than the light beam. There is no way that Ichika could appear out of nowhere if she wasn't moving faster than the light beams. So no, this doesn't make it so that nobody except for Morgan or Patri and Black Clover is lightspeed. It just doesn't make sense. It's an outlier. But again, I'll be going in depth as to why in my next Black Clover video, as this video is really not focused about power scaling. With Yami struggling, Ichika would finally join in and save him, doing a combo spell called Black Heavens that would distort and warp Morgan's light. And finally, this is enough to convince Nacht to get off his ass and finally do a quadruple devil union. The three of them together team up, doing a triple combo spell called Walpurgis Night, and they get the sneak on Morgan from behind, stabbing him with what looks to be Nacht's own Demon Destroyer sword that he likely made of shadows, and with that, Morgan is defeated. At least that's what Tabata wants us to think. See, I'm going to continue to stay on this train that the Paladins are not going to be easily defeated like they've been shown to be. Go back to the Spade Saga. This feels just like the Dark Triad rematches when we have Jack, Yuno, and Charlotte beating the shit out of the Dark Triad. Then all of a sudden, they go 100% devil power, and those fights completely change. This is what it seems like to me, that Lucius is going to do something, and it's probably going to have to do, just like in the Spade Saga with the Qliphoth, but instead, they purified Qliphoth, and it's going to make it so that the Paladins will come back, and they're going to be finally immortal, and they're going to be finally undying, like it's been stated they would be. And you might think that there's just simply not enough time for them to be brought back, that Black Clover is just going to be done before that can even happen, but likely there's going to be a fair amount of Black Clover left. The reason I say that is it was revealed that Black Clover will be returning in Jump Giga in January, which is just 2 months away. And how these magazines work is that if the next issue is the final one, they will always say that in the previous issue, which they didn't in this case, which would mean that the January issue is not the final chapter of Black Clover, and therefore we'll be getting another one in the spring of 2025. And you might not think that that's really that important, but remember that the way these mangas release is they typically plan a manga to finish with a volume. The currently unfilled Black Clover volume only needs one more Jump Giga issue to be filled, which means the issue in January would finish the volume, and then the one in the spring would be starting a brand new volume that would likely take 4 issues of Jump Giga to finish. This essentially all but guarantees 5 more issues of Black Clover within Jump Giga, which is over a year more of Black Clover. We might have a whole extra volume of Black Clover we're going to be getting, and I would not be surprised if it's even more than that. So I think that this is enough time to bring back the Paladins and extend these fights, and also have a grand finale with Lucius before finishing the series in 1 or 2 Jump Giga issues that take place after the Lucius fight. and a climax where Asta is crowned the Wizard King. So yeah, don't count on Black Clover ending anytime soon. But anyways, there's a few things I think that Tabata nailed with this chapter, besides the phenomenal art and the combat. I mean, we have the color page, the transformations, and look at all these double spreads we got here. It's absolutely insane. But it's beyond this. Tabata's writing is absolutely phenomenal. My favorite line in the issue is the brighter the light, the deeper the shadow it casts. And the meaning behind the statement is built into the character relationship between Morgan and Nacht. It's because Morgan was a very famous and very powerful magic knight, and Nacht was stuck in his shadow. He had to vie for his brother's attention from Yami. And this is the whole reason why he ended up honoring his parents and becoming a devil host, because he was stuck in the shadow because of how bright Morgan was. As tragic as this story is, Nacht is winning because of Morgan's light, even though the pain that this has caused him forever. Sure, it was his fault that his brother died in the first place, but at the very least, he can put his brother to rest on his own terms. And really, it's even much deeper than that, but there's so much to go over in these chapters. I'm probably going to wait for when I do my final review of Black Clover when the series ends. The breadcrumbs left of this video, let's go back to Yami's demon god form. If we look at it, this is for whatever reason giving me some hope that Black Clover has a ways to go, or maybe we will get more Black Clover in the future in the form of a spin-off or a sequel. Because when I see the demon god form for Yami, this makes me think of Black Form 1, which is Asta's first version of the Black form. It just looks like an incomplete form. Yami has 2 horns, sure, but he only has 1 wing on one side. He has these markings around his body. He has dark magic cuffs. This does not look like a full transformation. And sure, it's not a conventional devil form or devil power form like we do see with the other characters that have contracts. It's not related to a contract. It's a demon soul pill. But man, it's just making me think how amazing a series would be with Yami at the forefront. If we got a sequel series to Black Clover, imagine instead of focusing on Asta, we actually get Yami as the main character. Give us a time skip where it's been a few years since the end of the series. Asta has now been the Wizard King for a few years. Yami is still the captain of the Black Bulls, but now he's dealing with a lot of new recruits, even some of Asta's orphan siblings who are now Black Bulls. I know. I'm definitely just reaching and grasping at straws here, but it's always been the joke in the Black Clover fandom that Yami is just a main character, and he was isekai'd into Black Clover. But I think Yami could easily fit as a main character of the series, and it just makes me, at least at the very least, believe that this is the beginning of his demon god form, and we're going to get even more. What I'm expecting to happen next, well, so we have the 3 paladins defeated for now. I think we're going to get a shift to one of 2 things, or maybe both, but what's going to happen, I think, is that the rest of the Black Bulls who have anti-magic are going to be fighting against the Lucius clones in the next issue, or we're going to get a shift to Asta and Yuno fighting Lucius in the next issue, or it's going to be both. If we get another 61-page, 3-chapter issue, I wouldn't be surprised if we got 2 20-page chapters focusing on the Black Bulls defeating some of the Lucius clones, and then get a 20-page chapter with the start of Asta and Yuno versus Lucius. Though I also wouldn't be surprised if we just got a full issue of either one. Some parting thoughts revolving around Yami's devil form I just wanted to add. I found this tweet by my friend Jack Oates very interesting. Go follow him on Twitter, subscribe to his YouTube channel. This is what he said. The Juzu beads around Yami's neck and his transformation are further confirmation that Kijin, though revered as demon gods, are very much protectors and do follow the ways of Buddha. The beads are used in means of purification, warding off evil, and meditation. Some Oni have these and they can be large like the ones Yami has, which are sometimes interpreted to merely represent their personal power. We also see the beads on the statue in the Seabed Temple, who may have been the last host of Leviathan. And it's a nod and reinforcement of the prayer we saw Yami give Veto after taking him down. The one-handed prayer would generally be done with a small set of beads over the thumb and hanging down to the wrist. This pushes the biggest and one of the most prominent points of the story. Just because someone is a devil, uses a devil's power, or has traits of a devil, doesn't automatically imply that they're evil. Great thoughts, Jack. Also, both him and I noticed that Yami and Dante have similar devil horns, which these are Lucifero's horns, so why does Yami's demon god form have horns similar to Lucifero? It's pretty interesting, and I wonder if this is a deeper meaning, or if it's just for looks, because they're technically not one-to-one the same, but they are incredibly similar. But anyways, guys, this is my quick thoughts on the Black Clover chapter. I have another video coming out in a few days, which will cover a different part of the Black Clover chapters. So this is not the only video at the beginning, but just want to get a review out there. I think these chapters are amazing. Again, this is easily the best Giga chapters we've gotten. I think this might be the best Black Clover we've gotten since chapter 331. But then again, there's a lot of good, a lot of great in the Hino arc as well. So I'm not sure. I would need to reread, but it's definitely God tier. I love Black Clover. Thank you guys so much for the support. Hope you guys all have an amazing day, and peace out.